Hello, and welcome back to the Make It Work Podcast 2024. So I've been doing these interviews with these amazingly talented, inspirational people, and I've been jotting down little ideas and thoughts and things that keep coming up in these interviews, things that I think will help me and you make better theater and make it in a timely fashion. So get it done. So I wanted to share those with you today. So I sat down with my dear friend, Rosemary McGowan. She is a fellow theater maker, a collaborator of mine. She is an actress, as well as a therapist. And she helped me talk through some of the things that keep coming up over and over again in these interviews. So join us, learn with us, and let's make it work. We have to say, a lot of this stuff can seem to come down to resources and money.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
If I can find value in the work that I'm doing, if I can find value in myself, then that's enough. One of the things that I think about, I wouldn't say regularly, but every so often.
You're thinking about it now?
I'm thinking about it now. Is
the Roman Empire. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a shame.
That's a shame.
9 things, not 10.
Oh, I see.
I only learned 9 things, not 10. Not like a nice soundbitey 10.
Yeah, right. Okay, so tell me.
Some of the things.
Some of the things
These are just little things that I've jotted down from that have come up in all of the interviews so far. So number 1, speak with your own unique voice. Which I think is pretty self-explanatory, but just that idea that it's not worth making the piece that somebody else could make. What is your voice, your opinion, your unique way of looking at things?
Because it's from you.
Yeah. In
your own voice, in your own perspective, with your own way of looking at things. That, I remembered what I wanted to say earlier, might not be somebody else's cup of tea. And that's like that's the best thing about theatre and art in general, and also one of the most frustrating, is you think, I've created this masterpiece and somebody's going, don't really like it. But that's them, right? If you can create something in your own voice, with your own perspective, that is really coming from you, then that's, at least, for me, that's where the magic happens,
Well, and you're going to find someone who feels the same way as you do. So, like, you may as well just do it.
Just do it.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Collaborate. And I think this is so true. We're collaborating on something. That's
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to find out more.
But also, my most successful attempts at making anything have always been collaborations. You need someone to fall back on when you're like, oh, I don't really know if it's working.
Yeah. Bounce ideas off. That for me is the most helpful thing.
Yeah.
I think in general, sometimes I can kind of go, oh, is this the best idea? Or I'm not sure about this, or oh, think about this and think about that. But then having that other person to just kind of bounce, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, even in what we have been working on, stay tuned, wink. I've now done that twice. In about 5 years.
Sorry, I just cut that off. Cut that out.
I thought that wink was really good.
I thought it was really
Anyway, my point is, even in the little bit that we have done together so far, that even that collaboration of, I'm going to write a little something, and then you come in and you're like, okay, I see where you're going with that, and I'm gonna add something, or I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, and then I come in like, oh my god, that's brilliant, and I'm able to then riff off that a little bit more. And that, for me, that's priceless, because there are some things that, okay, I'm going to just use us, right? There are some things that I'm a little bit stronger in. There are some things that you're a little bit stronger in. And
what are those things? List them. No, it's okay. Well, I totally agree. I totally agree.
God, that was really stressful.
Well,
anyway,
we'll talk about that later.
So yeah, I think so.
I mean, there are people who are auteurs, right? That's the word. But meaning they do everything. They do I know you know, but just in case anyone doesn't know.
I had no idea. I was just nodding and smiling. Oh, yes.
Oh, well.
That word.
Just they do the set design, they do the lighting, they write the script, they hire the actors, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. All those little things. I mean, whatever. No big deal. I could totally do it.
But I don't.
couldn't,
But
no
I
way.
don't think I think I have too much of that voice that goes, "This is stupid.
Yeah.
No
Do
one
you really
cares
know
about
what you're
this.
doing?
You don't know what you're doing."
Yeah.
And I think having someone to be like, "No, that's great."
Yeah. And yeah, there are those people. And yet at the same time, again, with theatre making in particular, you're always collaborating, because even if you do everything yourself, you take it to an audience, they are your collaborators, because they are going to tell you whether or not they enjoy it or they don't. They're going to tell you which bits they, have taken away with them, or which bits they really resonate with. And, and that is a form of collaboration.
Yeah, I would agree. Number 3. I like this one. Write it. And I put, just shut up and get something down on paper, which we're not doing. We're talking instead.
Yeah, but I mean, some would say this is a form of
collaboration. It is, because I was saying to you how I found it really hard just like talking to camera, and I think it's nice to do it as a duologue.
Yeah, exactly.
So 3, write it down, get it out, get it out of your system. Oh, I mean, for some people, devising is the way they work. So
I mean,
get in a room.
That's often been how I've worked.
Get in a room with then the people that you want to make the show with, and I was gonna say beat it out.
Oh, don't.
You know what I mean.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Does everyone know? But work it out, figure it out.
Just put it out.
Put it out. Create it. Make it. Yeah. Because I am the worst at talking about an idea for 600 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're not the worst. I think I'm the worst. I've got so many ideas that I'm like, oh my God, there's this and there's this and there's this, and then I'm just like, oh, look at this other shiny thing, and oh, I've got to do this thing, and I've got to, and then I have so many things on the back burner.
I'm just always surprised when I actually do things, and I think everyone else is as well.
Yeah.
I think
Wait, everyone else is surprised when you do things?
When I do things, because I seriously think people must just be like, oh, sorry. Oh,
oh, bother.
Oh, bother. Oh, bother. She's got another idea. I think Dan just literally lets them, Dan, my husband, I think he just, lets it roll right over his head.
Oh.
Well, because I think if you just had someone who was constantly like, oh my God, do you know what I thought I'd do? I thought I'd start a podcast.
Yeah,
and I did it.
Yeah, you did.
This is one of the things I did, and I did it. So just do it.
Just do it. Are you allowed to say that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's your podcast. You can say whatever the
fuck
you want. Oh.
You can't.
What's number 4?
Get it out there. So that's the scratch nights.
Pardon? Just joking.
Yeah. So get it out there.
Yeah.
And that can be in many different ways.
Yeah. Even just, I guess, calling a group of friends and doing a table read.
That's it. Because it all, I think we have to say, a lot of this stuff can seem to come down to resources.
Yeah.
And money.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. I think, especially in the initial stages, there are a lot of free scratch nights around, or very minimal money. I mean, I know minimal money is different to each person.
Yeah.
But also just calling a couple of your friends and saying, want to come watch and give me some feedback in your living room or in your lawn if it's nice weather. It's not currently.
It's not really,
currently.
No.
But I mean,
stay indoors, people.
Stay indoors.
But around your living room.
But around your living room. Yeah. There are ways.
At the pub. Take it out.
Exactly.
Take it out to,
And it's amazing, the resources that can be made available if you chat. One of the things that, another thing, which did I put down here, is ask for help.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of like collaborate, isn't it?
Yeah. Ask for help from people. It's amazing what people are willing to share and give if you just ask the question.
Yeah. I guess it's also, just, I guess, kind of coming back to what you're saying earlier, right? It's that sense of bravery.
Yeah.
Right. Do I have, or am I able to be brave enough? Because it's scary to get that feedback.
Oh my gosh, it's very scary.
To put your work out there, and even to sometimes put your idea out there.
As many people say, it's just like having something on paper you can rewrite.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
just get it out.
Just get it out.
Yeah.
And get feedback was the next one. I do remember that. And I think that's That's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Hearing what other people, from an audience.
Yeah. And that's part of the bravery as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because that's terrifying.
Oh.
I don't want feedback for our stuff.
No, no.
Keep your opinions to
But
yourself.
it is amazing. Like I've kept going with certain projects that sort of have gone in a drawer and then come out again because I've gone to a scratch night and I've gone, yeah, people really responded to that. It does sometimes mean that like that scene that you wrote for that scratch night, you feel like so attached to it when really you should probably throw it out and like start something different. I think it is. A lot of people have said on the podcast, it's purely deadlines.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Somebody else give me a deadline.
Yes.
And I'll do it.
Yes.
So, old-fashioned girl. I had a friend who we chatted about the idea, and he's like, "So send me some pages." And that was the kick up the butt I needed because I was complaining, as many of us actors do. I'm not getting seen for the things I want to be seen for. And Dan had been nagging me, and he was like, "Send me some pages, and I'm going to do it with you."
Yeah.
And it was just enough.
Yeah.
That I then started sending pages. Then I got a director on board that I knew from another project. And then we were workshopping. And then so people are expecting things to happen.
Yeah.
We signed up for a scratch night.
Yeah.
He had a friend who could get us a slot in the Fringe.
Yeah.
It all just snowballed.
Yeah. You collaborated.
Ask an expert.
Yeah.
So ask someone, this was specifically, ask someone who has done it before.
I was going to say, how do you define an expert?
Follow their template. So if you see someone doing it the way you want to do it successfully, this was specifically things like Arts Council funding.
Okay, yeah.
Just ask someone who has done an application, you know, an Arts Council application.
Yeah. I love that though, because I think for me, I love the specificity of that. And I think I also love it because I am so bad at writing not any kind, I shouldn't totally dismiss myself.
You've gotten grants for things before.
I've gotten grants for things, yeah. I guess I struggle with writing grant applications. I think particularly...
Everybody does.
Okay, that's so good to know.
It's literally a job here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a job...
In Singapore.
Back where I live.
Grant writing.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a lot of the time it's part of producing, right? But like it is, you know, I know people who teach it, right? And you know, and people who run workshops in it, and it really is a skill.
Oh my God, it absolutely is a skill. But I think if I was going for grant money again, I think I would pay someone to do it, or at least talk to someone I knew who'd gotten it. Yeah. Because I was like, that is so. Yeah. Why would you not? It doesn't make any sense that you wouldn't.
I guess. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think about it.
No, I wouldn't have. But I think, you know, a guy who, Lawrence Russell, who I interviewed, was very much like, find a template from somebody who's already doing it, and kind of copy it. Yeah. And I was like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the things that I think about, I wouldn't say regularly, but every so often.
You're thinking about it now.
I'm thinking about it now. Is
the Roman Empire.
Greek gods, actually, but you know. One of the things I think about is this need for me to be unique every time I make something. You know, and it could be, again, it could be anything, right? So, you know, whether I'm sewing something, or whether I'm, you know, drawing something, or whether I'm
dyeing your hair purple.
Dyeing my hair purple. Oh yeah. You know, or writing something, or whatever. I feel like I can't copy anyone else. I have to be, you know, unique and different. And
that was a cough, sorry.
Oh, not like a strangulated sound. Oh, disgust. Or even I can't do anything I've done before.
Yeah.
Like I have a real thing about that. You know, I can't do something I've done before, which then sometimes leaves me feeling, oh my God, you know, and actually a lot of the time, that's one of the reasons I don't necessarily put, you know, content out on social media or whatever, because I think, oh, I've got this idea for this, I've got this idea for that, you know, I've got this idea for a podcast, I've got this idea for a book, I've got this idea, but then I go, oh, but that's similar to this person, or oh, I've kind of seen that before, or I've done something like this before, so then I just won't do it because I don't want it to be the same, so I have to do something completely different, and then that actually leaves me feeling quite stuck. So, you know, even with Arts Council funding or any kind of, you know, funding application, for example, even with that, I'm like, I can't look at anybody else's because then I'll just copy it, and I don't want to do that. I have to make it my own. But actually going back to, well, what is a successful arts application or funding application? What is a successful funding application? Can I use that as a template?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with doing that, because you're taking something that has worked for someone.
Yeah.
That, you're still making your own, because it's still your own work, but this is something that has a higher chance of working to then help you achieve the work you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that this is just, away from Arts Council funding, one thing that many people said was, if you're going to contact an expert for any other reason, someone you view as having achieved what you want to achieve or working in the field that you're interested in, ask a really specific question.
Yes, we were talking about that the other day. How can you approach somebody with the knowledge that it's boundaries? Your approach to that, let's have a chat, let's have a conversation, and I'm going to take 20 minutes of your time. We're gonna, it's a coffee or it's a drink or whatever, and sticking to that, right? But kind of setting that up in the beginning, that and also, of course, not just going, hey, can I have 20 minutes of your time?
No.
But this is what I really really admire or appreciate. I'm wondering if I could pick your brains about a script that I have in this particular way. Can I have 20 minutes of your time, or an hour, or whatever it may be, so that there's that. And then the second part of it, which I guess I kind of touched on, is that specificity, right? Like, which can be tricky, because I know, like, for me, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I've got this great idea for a show, and what do you think about this? And sometimes that's too general. And sometimes that's because I don't know what it is that I need, because my idea is so general at the moment. And sometimes it's because I also don't know what I want, or I don't know what I want from the person. Right? Like, this is someone who I admire, or somebody whose opinion I very much value. But can I say, I really value your opinion. Can I send you my script to have a look? Can you, I'd really appreciate it if you could give me some feedback on it. Would you be open to doing that? Or like I said, about, or whatever it may be, you took the show to the Fringe, and I'm just really wondering if we can have a conversation, because I'd like to do that too. I saw your 5-minute Fringe on Clues podcast, Make It Work UK. And I just wanted to find out how you managed to do the Fringe for less than £2,000.
Definitely.
And so again, that's really specific. And I'm coming to you with this idea that I have that is a little bit clearer in my mind. Because then also, for the other person who is being asked, it helps to know where the focus is, because and I've had this, people have said, oh, I'd really like to talk to you about this project I'm doing. It's like, okay, but then what? How can I help you? And I've been on both sides of this coin, right? It's like, if the answer is I don't know, then I don't know.
Exactly. And I think also, often, I loved that play that you put on, directed, wrote, starred in, whatever, and can I have a coffee? Or just even, I loved that thing that you did, and leaving it at that for step one. You know what I mean? Like, maybe the ask for isn't the first thing. Rewrite.
No thanks. Boring.
Yeah. So I guess it's that thing of, you can't edit a blank page. So once you've got that page full of possibly crap, really, something that you're a bit like unhappy with, it's better than nothing. But now rewrite, and even into, once it goes into like previews and things, rewriting and finding like what, because an audience is 100%, your most valuable feedback.
Yes, and with that as well comes, I guess, the recognition of dealing with your ego.
Once it's out in front of people, and they're responding to it, I'm actually quite good at letting go of things that they don't like. And I mean, some people would disagree, I'm sure, in terms of having worked with me. But like if I see it or I feel that it's dying like a section of the piece, I'm like, yep, let's change it. That needs a rewrite. Whereas I think some writers get very precious about the actual, because obviously for me, I don't think I'm Shakespeare. I just think, I'm doing something it means to an end.
Yeah.
I want this piece to play.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work, throw it out.
So last year at the Fringe, when one of the shows that we saw did get transferred to the West End for a few days this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it was Bloody Hell.
Yeah.
Right. And I started following Bloody Hell on Instagram, and when it was kind of leading up to her show in the West End, she was putting some stuff up about how she'd started writing.
Lauren Redding.
One of the posts that she put up was, she started writing Bloody Hell during COVID, and she put up like basically the genesis of one of the songs that was in the show. And it was just completely different, because then I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and like listen to this, I'm going to like listen to it on Spotify and stuff, and see if I can like just kind of see the movement that it's made. And that, I think for me, one of my biggest difficulties in anything I do, whether it's writing, whether it's sewing, is if I feel like I've made a mistake, or if I have to go over and rewrite it, I don't want to do it. Stand by, Clue.
Yeah,
but I just don't. I throw it out. Thanks.
Oh no, see, I will literally rewrite this is my problem is sometimes I rewrite too much. Like I could just revisit the same script every day and rewrite like a different word.
Number 9.
This is number 9.
Number 9. If only you had a 10th.
I don't actually know where this is. I've just read it and gone, what? There is no golden bullet. It is a different kind of fight, no matter what you do in the industry. Oh, that's so dire. So I think this is...
Sorry, can you just read that again?
Yeah.
One more time for me.
So there's no golden bullet. I don't even know if that's the right term to use. You're not going to suddenly... even the people who, say like Operation Mincemeat, they made this piece that's now in the West End.
Oh, I'm going to see
really
it on Monday.
Well.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's such a great show. You're going to love it. But they will be fighting for funding, their next piece, tours. They'll be fighting for something else. There's always something more, because I think something that I was asking when I first started was like, how has making your own work changed the game for you? And yes, inevitably people, because I'm talking to people who have done really well with their projects, were like, yeah, it's changed in this way. I'm getting these sort of auditions now. But even if you do become the gatekeeper yourself, like they're hiring people, Operation Mincemeat are hiring cast and things like that, there's going to be other things that they're trying to bid for, or it's just like any business, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like you suddenly, again,
yeah,
make it,
yeah, that's it,
and that's the end, and now everyone just listens to you, and you don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that good to know? Yes, maybe. And maybe it's just like, oh, we're all still having to...
I guess for me, I feel like it makes it a lot more realistic. I think, going back to the arrival fallacy.
The arrival fallacy was first coined by the behavioral scientist Tal Ben-Shahar. It describes the commonly held illusion that once we attain our goal or reach our destination, whatever it may be, we will achieve lasting happiness and fulfillment.
Going back to the arrival fallacy, it's a fantasy. And it's various things, right? It's, people who come to London and they're like, okay, I want to make it as an actor and I want to make it to the West End, because then that's it. And I don't see all the other stuff that I could be doing, or that could happen, or that I am doing. I don't see any value in that. But actually, even if I have made it to the West End, there's still there's a difficulty within that. And that's not the end. it's not like I've made it to the West End and therefore I'll always be here and I'll never have to work for anything again, or I'll be like put in all the plays and all the shows. It doesn't work like that.
No.
And so actually, like, hearing that, there's a more realistic, less fantastical relationship I then have with, if I create a show that does go to the West End, when I create a show that does go to the West End. But even as I said that, I noticed the fact that I did that, right? I was like, oh, but actually, again, it's like that's not it.
No.
And it doesn't equate to my value or my worth as a performer, as a maker, as a creator. It's part of who I am, but it's not me. And again, if I am working to that, and with that as my end goal, then when I achieve that, then what? Then who am I? Then what next? Then where does my creative journey go from here?
Yeah.
But instead, if I can find value in the present, if I can find value in myself, wherever I am on that trajectory, even if I never reach that point, if I can find value in the work that I'm doing, if I can find value in myself, then that's enough. And that's, of course it's going to come with its own challenges, as life always does, but I'm ready to meet them where I'm at and where they're at, because I'm more present in it.
Yeah. 9 things.
There you go. Not 10. Oh, I was like, what's that for? Oh God,
It's gonna slap
can I have
you
another
on
one?
your face.
Thanks. That's 10. Toodles.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special bonus episode of the Make It Work podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Please do let us know in the comments if this was something you want to see more of, or if you think we should just get back to the interviews. Don't worry, we've got a few of those lined up and they're coming to you soon. So we hope you will join us again. In the meantime, please do like, subscribe, and share our content. It really helps this channel and our podcast more than you will ever know. Thanks.
Welcome back to Auntie Roro.
Yes.
Auntie
to
Roro.
sofa time with Auntie Roro.
Sofa time with Auntie Roro.
That's actually really good.
That is.
Do you have a children's book? I just double record at the same time.
Monetizing.